There you go. Thanks everybody for coming. I'm Jared Stack. I'm the director here at the Wyoming Technology Business Center, and I'm glad you're here to experience a really exciting day for Wyoming, for startups in Wyoming, and for a great company, McGinley Orthopedics. So I'm not going to talk very long. I'm actually going to introduce the two speakers here that are going to announce these great programs today. I'm going to start with the Secretary of State, Mr. Ed Buchanan, and after him will come Dr. Joe McGinley, founder and CEO of McGinley Orthopedics. Secretary?
Thank you very much, Jared, ladies and gentlemen. Great day to be here at the Wyoming Technology Business Center. You know, this great partnership that has gone a ways back with the University of Wyoming and the Casper Area Economic Development Program has done really great things with the community, and it's great to be here today, and it's an appropriate setting for why we are here today. The Secretary of State's office is here today because today represents really the first opportunity, the first example of a business entity taking advantage of a new program that's called Invest Wyoming. And a little bit of history about Wyoming Invest Now, which is also called WIN for short. A lot of, over the years, a term of crowdfunding has come into our language, and that really started off with charitable things, arts, technology, things like that, where individual folks could give money to causes or things that they believed in. What's different about this and the historic step we're taking today is that under the new regulations in the Wyoming Invest Now program, folks that believe in a company or an idea or new technology are now able to fund startup businesses and allow them to raise capital in a way that's much more accessible, but also, as importantly, allows them to realize at some point in time, hopefully, a return on their investment. So that's a little bit of the history of the crowdfunding. The regulations surrounding it have evolved over the years. It started off at the federal level. In 2012, they started the Jobs Act, which basically eased a lot of the regulations that prevented this type of crowdfunding, or equity crowdfunding as we call it, to take place nationwide. So kind of piggybacking on that federal legislation, the state of Wyoming, through the Secretary of State's office, passed the Wyoming Securities Act in 2016, which allowed Wyoming to provide some exemptions that allowed crowdfunding to become possible. And so now Wyoming joins other states in embracing crowdfunding really as a new means of capitalization and investments in small business. That's particularly important in Wyoming, as you know. We encourage economic diversification. We've been working on that, in fact, for decades. And to me, this is an opportunity through the WIN program to allow more small businesses to take advantage of another capitalization source that they may not otherwise have access to. So that's really the key thing to take away from this. The WIN initiative really took place or got its genesis, if you will, because I would say of our small population. Wyoming ranked really dead last as far as small businesses, medium-sized businesses having the opportunity to raise capital. And so this initiative was started so that folks could raise capital in another way, if you will, that would hopefully bring success to the small businesses. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Joe McGinley to come up and speak. We are so excited in the Secretary of State's office, and the reason why we're here today is because McGinley Orthopedics is the first filing under the Wyoming Invest Now program. And it's our hope that this will be a real opportunity for growth and investment in small businesses all across Wyoming to help us with our economic diversification, work hand in hand with the efforts we see in this building, work hand in hand with the efforts we see with the Wyoming Business Council, work hand in hand with the efforts you're going to see in the new Endow program. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe McGinley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thanks, Jared, for the introduction. This is a really exciting moment for us as a company and really as a community. This program is really one of the steps that Wyoming is taking to look forward for economic development and growth across our entire state. When people think of Wyoming, they think mostly of natural resources, oil and gas, which is a big component of what we do here in Wyoming. However, moving forward, there are ups and downs in that market, and led by Governor Mead and the legislature, we needed to diversify our economy and think of different ways to create jobs, to create economic development. As we saw, the Endow program, that was an initiative started by Governor Mead and is really gaining a lot of popularity here in the state. But even before that, the University of Wyoming was leading the way in trying to develop jobs, trying to diversify the companies that are here in Wyoming, trying to encourage entrepreneurs to take that step and say, hey, we can do this here in Wyoming. There's programs through the University of Wyoming, Manufacturing Works, even locally, CADA, are groups that we worked with when we were an initial startup. So now we want to really get back and help participate in these programs and encourage other companies to say, hey, Wyoming is the place where we can succeed and grow. We have great people here, great opportunities, and this program is going to allow everyone to take part in those opportunities. Some people may not know what crowdfunding is or why it's here or why this is so important. Traditionally, if you look back a decade or two ago, if you wanted to be part of a startup company or if you wanted to invest or take advantage of those investment opportunities, you typically had to go through an investment banker or contribute a large sum to a fund, and then a small group of people would control where that money went and how those companies were developed. Over the past decade, that's changed. You see a lot of crowdfunding apps, a lot of crowdfunding programs out in California, basically, where a lot of that it was developed. But that allows everyone to become involved and have everyone have that same opportunity to take part in growing businesses. Well, Wyoming is now part of that community, and with this program, literally anyone can invest in startup companies and help get them off the ground. That's important for startup companies because they need that support, they need that growth, and they don't always have the resources to reach out to a venture firm or an investment banking company to say, hey, come invest in us here in Wyoming and make us grow. That's actually much more challenging than you think. So this is really exciting that this is the next step in that growth and development. It seems like this just popped up and we're doing a press conference on this wonderful program, but this took a lot of work, took a lot of people to make this happen. The Secretary of State's office has been instrumental in pushing this project forward and putting all the groundwork together to make this happen. We helped along the way. We helped work with the legislature to help develop some of the bills to make this something that is possible here in Wyoming and to grow. But you know, we have to thank the Secretary of State's office, we have to thank the Governor's office, we have to thank all of our legislators, employees in our company that spent a lot of time and effort putting this together. Our CFO, Dick McGinley, spent a lot of time helping work on this as well. Our attorney, Matt Kaufman, spent innumerable hours working on this to get this program up and running. This is one of those opportunities where we work together to make this happen and make this come about. So what does this mean? So we are now leaders in innovation here in Wyoming. We've seen it with blockchain this past year through the legislature. We got national news coverage on that. This is just another component of that, looking forward and saying, hey, how do we become the leaders in the country of developing new companies? When we first started, we have a high-tech medical device company. We're a high-sensor handheld robotic technology company. When I first started this, I was told, hey, this can't happen in Wyoming. That's just not possible. They're oil and gas. That's it. You don't have the workforce to do that. I said, hey, we have smart people everywhere, and not only that, they're dedicated and committed to what they do. So we took that step and we said, we can develop this here in Wyoming and we can be successful. Boy, was I right on that one. We now have not only our full engineering team and our full company headquarters here, we have manufacturing over in Glenrock. So now we actually build a product, we build the parts over in Glenrock, we assemble it here and ship all around the country. I have another exciting announcement as part of this. About 10 minutes before we went live here on this press conference, I got an email from our Chief Commercial Officer that we have a verbal commitment for international distribution across the Middle East and India. That came in literally about 10 minutes ago, and that's a commitment from a company that is going to actually purchase a lot of our product and sell it across the world at this point. So that's another exciting step for us as a company as we're growing. Recently, we also had our 500th operating room case. That's here in the United States. We were FDA cleared several years ago. We have surgeons all around the country, at least 10 different states, that are using our technology. And in Phoenix, Arizona, at Maricopa Hospital, they just had our 500th OR case. They actually saw that as an incentive to promote their orthopedic department, and they're actually going to be advertising that and saying, hey, we are the leaders in orthopedic surgery here in Phoenix. We're adopting this handheld robotic technology because we want a product that's safer and better for our patients. So they're going to be doing a press release today as well, announcing that they were our partners in that 500th OR case. Now, how do you become involved, and what does that mean to be part of this program? Well, the website's listed up here, createwyoming.com. If you go to that website, that'll give you the information on how you participate, how you can become an investor in McGinley Orthopedics and this program. Through that program, you have to be a resident of Wyoming. That's the main requirement. But other than that, most of the information is provided on that website, and we can answer questions as you're interested and wanting to participate. This is one of the first opportunities where you can be part of a startup company and be what's called a non-accredited investor. So this is literally open to any individual within the state of Wyoming, with the requirement being that you have to be a resident. A little bit more about our company and product. Our product is a handheld robotic orthopedic sensing system. So what it does is sense bone as it's drilling through the bone and assist the surgeons to have a safer surgery for patients. Our drill will stop when it gets through the far side of the bone and then gives them an accurate screw size so they don't have to manually measure screws. That sounds like a trivial task, but right now that's completely a manual process, and this occurs in any orthopedic surgery where they're drilling through bone or putting plates and screws in, so essentially most fractures. So it's a very common procedure that occurs every day, and we created a technology that makes it safer for the patient, more cost-effective, and better for both the patient and the hospital. So we'd encourage you to visit the Create Wyoming website, visit our website at McGinley Orthopedics, and take a look at our technology, take a look at our product, and see what we're actually doing right here in Wyoming. We're also open for any questions and visits. We do tours of our facilities if you're interested to see what we're doing and how we're doing it here in Wyoming, and talk to our workforce and get their perspective. Don't listen to me, look at the people that are working for us. They're excited to be part of this team, and they're excited to help this company grow and help diversify the economy here in Wyoming. So again, we're very proud to be part of this. We're part of this partnership here with the Secretary of State and continue to develop the economy here in Wyoming. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for coming today and attending this presentation. And we will open it up for questions at this point. If Mr. Secretary, if you'd like to join me up here for some questions and answers. Yes.
Joe, I'd like to ask you and the Secretary, the Create Wyoming website, I guess homepage or whatever, as on the screen. So will future companies using this process need to develop their own individual websites, or will the Secretary of State's office be providing a portal of some sort? Or has the thinking gone that far ahead? How potentially interested people out in the state can learn about the opportunity and get some information about it?
So we took the lead in developing this website as the first company involved in this program. So we set up the infrastructure base where other companies can piggyback on our website and our program, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel essentially at that point. We put all the infrastructure through the website development, through the paperwork with our attorney, and through the Secretary of State's office with the partnership, that if someone is interested in sort of jumping in now, we can help facilitate that, get them up as part of this website with createwyoming.com, and then they can take advantage of this crowdfunding effort to fund their own company here in Wyoming. Yes.
In a lot of crowdfunding scenarios, there's an incentive to the funder to make the donation or whatever, whether it be a portion of equity in the company, or some people give a product out, or a T-shirt or whatever. So, two questions: what incentive are you offering the people that do fund through the crowdfund site, and how much are you looking to raise?
Great. Good question. I wish we could make the drills cheap enough to give them out for someone to invest. That would be a great accomplishment on our manufacturing side of the business, but unfortunately these are pretty expensive systems. What we're looking for are traditional investments, as if you would go online and invest in Microsoft or any other company. The reason you're investing is you want to make a return on your investment. You want to get money back out of that investment. So this is not a charity investment. This is a financial planning investment for you as an individual. So the way that would work is someone would invest in our company through this portal. They would get shares in our company, and then as our company grows, hopefully those shares become more valuable and they would be able to realize a return on investment down the road. Now with this particular program, the WIT program is set up with a limit of a $4 million cap on any round of financing currently. We filed for that $4 million cap. That doesn't mean we have to actually bring in $4 million. We can actually stop or terminate the funding at any point along the way. We've gone through several traditional rounds of funding in the past, and in pretty much every round that we've held, we've actually stopped our investment round early because we were pretty successful in the investments. We were pretty cost conscious as a company. So instead of diluting investors, bringing in funds that we didn't necessarily need at that point in time, we terminated our rounds early. Pretty much every round we have run. But just so we don't handicap ourselves, we actually did go in and list as the maximum of $4 million for this round. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience?
I understand you have some impressive equipment out at the manufacturing site in Glenrock, including, I think your most recent acquisition is a drill manufacturing machine. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, we have a lot of exciting work going on over in Glenrock at our manufacturing facility. What a lot of people don't know is our manufacturing facility is not just for medical products. We actually acquired that facility. They were a partner of ours when we were first starting. And to make the company stronger, to make both companies stronger, we worked out an agreement to acquire that facility and continue what they were doing. So they were a base company that worked in the mining industry. That's where the revenue was coming in from that company. But we said, hey, we can capitalize on that and sort of take that further and make it a high-tech company for manufacturing machining as well. So we partnered with the Business Council for a business committed grant, and we developed the technology at that location, where now we have the highest certification of manufacturing. We're an FDA registered company for manufacturing, and all that can be done over at that facility. So we can literally make something there and then transfer it to the OR for use in the OR. We have the highest level of certification of quality and safety at that facility. So the equipment that we have over there, it is really fun to go in and see. I mean, when I go over there, I sort of will sit there and watch the machines for probably longer than I should. But it's fun and exciting. It's great to see that, and it's impressive how these parts are being made, how this equipment's being made, and it's being done right here. I mean, these are some of the most high-tech machines in the country are right over in Glenrock, and they're producing products that are now going to be used across the entire world. So it's exciting to say that. It's exciting for Glenrock and exciting for Wyoming to be able to do this right here. But again, that partnership started with the mining industry. A lot of our business and revenue is still the mining industry over at that facility. We also do contraceptive production services. So say you had an idea and wanted to build something, you partner with our engineering team. We can make a prototype and even take it all the way through the manufacturing. And if you wanted, we can get it sterilized and sent out and into hospitals as well. We have that complete service available at this point. But that started really we started as a small startup. We didn't just come out and say, hey, we can do this. We had to work with a lot of people here in Wyoming to make that happen. And again, the point being that we have those resources available, and we have that opportunity available for literally any company for any idea right here in Wyoming.
Mr. Secretary, my name is Brian Durlow. I'm a founder of a startup here in Casper as well. If I were to go through the same, not looking for the full regulations on how to go about this, but how would my company participate in this crowdfunding exercise?
Well, it's a great question. Through the Secretary of State's website, we have the links, telling all about the WIN program. We have an excellent team at the Secretary of State's office that will really walk any startup business through the process to make sure they understand the requirements and the limitations of this type of equity crowdfunding. So our office is open for business and open for small business so that they can come to us as a resource. So so that they can take advantage of this new and exciting program. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. A follow-up question. I think I heard somebody say that the crowdfund, maybe I misheard you, but is the crowdfunding only open to Wyoming residents? So only people in Wyoming can fund crowdfunding sites in Wyoming, is that right?
That's correct. People could go across state lines, probably under the federal programs dealing with the SEC and some other things. But the nice thing about the Wyoming program, yes, it is limited to Wyoming investors, but you don't have the SEC regulation, and the regulations through our office are very minimal. We want basic information about it, all the full disclosures that are in the law that are now necessary for investors to read and know about what it is they are investing in.
Thank you.
Are there plans to set up any kind of website where someone could do national crowdfunding? Because there are a lot of websites out there now, particularly or for charitable donation type of websites that allow nationwide crowdfunding.
Right. Not from our office at this time. We're focused within Wyoming right now. As I said before, and that's a great question. The law is new, and it's not a novel concept, but it's somewhat new to Wyoming, I would say. And so that's why we're here today, because this particular business is the first one to take advantage of this exciting program. And so we're going to take some small steps and hope to attract other small businesses within the state of Wyoming. And as we move forward, we can change the law perhaps to allow, for example, higher contribution limits, things like that. We already have changed those kind of in response to what we saw once the law was passed. So we'll continue to modify it.
Dr. McGinley mentioned that their goal is, the upper limit of their goal is $4 million, but you just mentioned max contribution levels. What's the maximum contribution any individual can make through the createwyoming.com website?
If you're an unaccredited investor, which has its own definition, I believe it's like an income of over $250,000 and a certain net worth, it's unlimited for your contribution. But to protect small investors, we limit it to $10,000.
Is there a minimum to that as well?
I think that depends on what the company's requirement is for investment in their company.
Any other questions from our audience members or members of the meeting? Great. I'd like to thank you all for coming today, and if you have any questions, the Secretary and I will be around after the meeting and be glad to answer any questions you have about our company, the program, or what we see moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, I didn't.